Beneath the soft mists that rise from the Korean peninsula, a story breathes, ancient yet modern, humble yet fierce. South Korea is more than a nation reborn. It is a living paradox, where neon skylines rise over sacred temples and centuries-old traditions whisper beneath the pulse of technology. It is a land that hums with quiet thunder, a strength that doesn't roar but resonates. Once scarred by war and division, South Korea's soil remembers the ashes from which it rose. From the ruins of conflict came a collective vow to build, to endure, to never fall again. And so, a country shattered by history rebuilt itself with restless determination and unshakable pride. Today, skyscrapers pierce through the dawn light like monuments to resilience. Seoul, vibrant, electric, stands as a symbol of rebirth, a city where dreams move faster than the trains that glide beneath its streets. Yet behind every steel frame lies a memory of struggle, of hands that built hope from dust. This is South Korea, a land defined not just by its progress, but by the spirit that carried it forward. The journey begins here, where silence meets power. Before the lights of Seoul, before the engines of industry, there was a land of scholars, poets, and warriors. The story of South Korea begins long before its name. In the dynasties of Goguryeo, Baekje, and Silla, where kingdoms rose and fell like tides upon the peninsula's rugged mountains. Each left behind a fragment of identity, a piece of the spirit that would one day define a people. In the courts of Joseon, Confucian ideals shaped a society built on discipline, duty, and respect. Knowledge was sacred, art was devotion, and the written word became a mirror of the nation's soul. These echoes still linger. In the calligraphy brushed by elders, in the bowed greetings of strangers, in the quiet reverence for family that endures beneath every modern skyline. But history was not kind. Centuries of invasions, colonization, and war left deep scars. The land was divided, its people silenced, yet their endurance became unbreakable. Each hardship carved a deeper resolve, each loss a lesson in survival. These echoes of the past are not forgotten. They live in the rhythm of every heartbeat, in every song sung with pride. The present, after all, was born from memory. In the aftermath of the Korean War, the peninsula lay in ruins, cities reduced to rubble, fields scorched, and hope buried beneath the ashes. Yet, from this devastation, a quiet determination began to stir. South Korea had nothing left but its people, and that would prove to be more than enough. Factories rose from shattered ground, powered by hands that refused to rest. The 1960s and 70s became an era of relentless rebuilding, steel, textiles, and shipyards driving a nation once crippled by war into a storm of creation. Every brick, every spark of machinery, was a declaration, we will not be forgotten. Education became the engine of rebirth. Families sacrificed everything to send their children to school, believing that knowledge could rebuild what bombs had destroyed. And they were right. A new generation emerged, disciplined, inventive, hungry for change, the architects of an economy that would soon defy the odds. By the end of the 20th century, South Korea was no longer a shadow of survival, but a beacon of progress. The world watched as a war-torn nation transformed into an industrial powerhouse, a miracle built not on luck, but on will. Seoul, once a city of ashes and echoes, began to hum with the sound of ambition. Neon lights replaced bomb fires, and the Han River, once lined with sorrow, now reflected skyscrapers that reached for a new future. It was not magic, it was momentum. Every street, every bridge, every skyline told the same story. We built this with our hands, and we built it fast. The 1980s marked South Korea's grand leap into modernization. Roads stretched across the nation like veins of progress, carrying with them dreams of trade and technology. The people who once tilled broken soil were now engineers, factory leaders, and innovators. Seoul became the beating heart of Asia's industrial miracle, pulsing with energy that seemed unstoppable. Yet behind the bright lights, there was still grit. Long work hours, crowded subways, and endless nights at study desks were the unseen gears of success. But South Koreans never called it sacrifice, they called it purpose. A collective will to rise together, to transform survival into prosperity, and to ensure that their children would never know the hunger of the past. By the dawn of the new millennium, Seoul had become more than a capital. It was a symbol of transformation. From war's rubble to global recognition, the city stood tall as proof that progress is not inherited, it is forged. As skyscrapers touched the clouds, another revolution began, one not built with steel, but with sound, color, and emotion. From the streets of Seoul to screens across the world, South Korea began to export not just goods, but identity. The cultural wave, later called the Hallyu, rose like a tide that no border could contain. K-dramas painted love and struggle with cinematic grace, while K-pop electrified global stages with rhythm and unity. Each lyric, each dance step carried the echo of a nation that had once fought for its voice, and now the world listened. For many, these stories and songs were more than entertainment. They were windows into the soul of a people who refused to be defined by their past pain. But beneath the glamour, South Korea's cultural rise was deeply personal. It spoke of creativity born from constraint and emotion sculpted from endurance. Artists, filmmakers, and dreamers became the new architects of influence, bridging East and West with narratives of hope and resilience. By the 2010s, the world wasn't just watching Korea, they were celebrating it. From fashion to cinema to digital innovation, the nation's creative force became its greatest ambassador. What began as a whisper of self-expression became a roar of global recognition, a testament to how culture can rebuild what war once tried to erase. In the heart of Seoul, neon lights flicker like veins of energy across a city that never truly sleeps. Beneath those lights lies a nation driven by innovation, a country that transformed scarcity into strength and rebuilt its identity through technology. South Korea's rise as a digital powerhouse didn't happen by chance. It was the product of relentless vision and discipline. From Samsung's sleek devices to Hyundai's roaring engines, every invention told a story of determination. The government invested heavily in research, education, and connectivity, turning a once war-torn land into one of the most technologically advanced societies on Earth. Internet speeds soared, factories became automated, and cities evolved into smart ecosystems of progress. Yet, innovation in Korea isn't just about machines and code, it's about mindset. The same spirit that rebuilt a shattered nation now fuels its pursuit of the future. Young entrepreneurs, armed with creativity and ambition, push boundaries in AI, gaming, robotics, and digital entertainment. Each breakthrough represents not only progress, but pride, a quiet declaration that the nation's resilience continues to evolve. And still, amid the algorithms and skyscrapers, South Korea's humanity shines brightest. Technology here doesn't erase culture, it amplifies it. It connects generations, bridges tradition with modernity, and reminds the world that progress is most powerful when it remembers where it came from. Modern South Korea stands as a paradox of tradition and transformation, a country where ancient palaces rise beside glass towers and where centuries-old customs coexist with futuristic ambition. This balance is what defines the Korean identity, a harmony between what was and what will be. The world knows Korea today through its cultural exports: K-pop, cinema, fashion, and cuisine. Global icons like BTS and filmmakers such as Bong Joon-ho became not just entertainers, but ambassadors of a new wave of Korean storytelling. Each song, each film, each flavor carries the soul of a nation that learned to turn its struggles into art and its pain into purpose. But beyond the global spotlight, the essence of Korean life still beats quietly. Families gather for kimchi making, students walk tree-lined streets to late-night study cafes, and elders offer wisdom through the quiet grace of Confucian tradition. It is in these small, enduring rituals that Korea's true identity lives on, steadfast amid rapid change. To be Korean today is to walk the line between history and modernity, pride and humility, tradition and reinvention. It is to honor the ancestors who endured and to build a future worthy of their sacrifice. South Korea's identity is not just national. It is a living narrative, told every day by the people who call it home. From the ashes of war to the neon glow of innovation, South Korea's journey is nothing short of extraordinary. It is the story of a nation that refused to be defined by its past, instead transforming its scars into symbols of strength. Every skyline, every melody, every moment of progress stands as a reminder that resilience is Korea's greatest export. The spirit of the peninsula lives in its people, the dreamers, the workers, the artists, and the innovators who push forward not just for themselves, but for the generations yet to come. Their hands built a nation from ruin. Their hearts carried its hope, and their vision continues to shape its destiny. In South Korea, history does not fade, it fuels. Tradition does not resist progress, it guides it. And in that delicate balance between the old and the new, the Korean story continues, written not in ink, but in perseverance. This has been After Time, the story of South Korea. If you found this journey inspiring, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because here, the past lives on, and every story finds its voice.